Hey guys, next test, or practice, exercise, there it is. Alright, so next exercise is, some of the main things you're going to notice when you're switching to a new bike are the handling, which is, we just did the 2 slaloms, the brakes, which is what we're going to talk about now, and the clutch and throttle, which we'll get to in a bit. And, what was the other thing? Steering, brakes, clutch. And the power, which we'll deal with more or less the same time as the clutch. But let's give you a quick run through the braking test right now. Alright, so what we've got is 4 cones, and they're 2 next to each other. The idea of them being 2 next to each other is to make this test even a little bit more intimidating than it already seems. Okay, so when you pass through the first set of cones, you're going to brake to a full stop before the next set of cones, okay? And these are 2.5 parking spaces, so about 25 feet, but again, these are a bit short on that. See, 16.4, these are about 22 feet maybe, so we'll see how it works. This bike also needs new brakes. I looked at the pads earlier before I did this, and they need replacing. So I don't know if I might just do one at like 10 miles an hour. Oh, right. So I should tell you about that. We'll go slowly around this time. For this test, you're gonna want to first run. You're gonna do it at 10 miles an hour until you're comfortable with that, and then you'll go up to 15. Until you're comfortable with that, and if you're brave, you can go up to 20 and try that. But again, I would have them 25 feet apart, not like I have them here. And also make sure your bike's in proper working order, which that's a whole other thing. So I don't know what I'll be able to do with my brake pads, but I'll do. Here's the first run. We'll do it at 10 miles an hour. Oh, wait, sorry. Before I do this, I should give you some more specifics. For this 10 mile an hour run, you're going to be in 2nd gear, okay? And what you need to do, or what you should be able to by the end of this practice, is you should be able to brake in between those 2 things and downshift to first all at the same time, using both brakes. And you should be able to do that. And I actually won't go all the way around. I'll just turn around here, because we don't need to get going that fast. No cars. Okay, so 10 miles an hour. That's about 10. Which seems horribly slow, doesn't it? Okay, so easily done there, alright? I think I'll circle around again, do one more at 10, and then I'll move up to a little higher speed. And so you want to downshift and brake. Alright, so there's about 10. Pass the cones, brake. I'm in 1st gear, okay? Won't click down anymore, click up, neutral. So 1st gear. Alright, and that was from 10 miles an hour. So let's give it a go from 15. You want to make sure to rev your bike up while you're doing these tests, because you're going to be at relatively low speeds doing this, and you might be down at low RPMs, and you want the engine to be circulating enough oil so that everything gets oiled. These bikes are notorious for that, but you should try and do a lap every once in a while to keep things moving around in there. So here we go from 15, 2nd gear. And come up to the cones. 15, done and done. 1st gear, click up, neutral, good, we're in. So there you go, 15. Easily done. And now let's try 20. Alright, let's try a 20 mile an hour run. Okay. So we just made it, and Here, I'll hop off the bike so you can see this. I'm in first, by the way. We got down there, but I locked up the rear, which you can see. Well, you might not be able to see it, but you can follow it. Oh, here. Let me roll the bike forward a little bit, and you'll be able to see it. You can see it on the paint right there, hopefully. If I can get my shadow out of there. Right here. So I locked up on the way in there. And that's fine, okay? I know I was talking to some guys who live in Europe, and they said that if you lock up and keep the wheel locked on your your riding examination, they fail you, okay? Or at least I think that's what he said. But in the real world, okay, you know, it's a crapshoot. You can leave it locked, and that's fine as long as you keep the bike in a straight line. So it's whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with. I usually lift up on it, but it happens. And you'll also run into situations where the rear wheel will lock when you're downshifting. You know, here, why don't I do that? I'll show you that real quick. And that's not something to worry about either. That will most likely right itself quickly, but you should be able to hear it, so let's see. Third. You hear that? So we were still moving. That happens a lot when you're braking hard with the rear brake and you're slipping the, yeah, see, I did it just then. So that happens when you're doing some hard downshifting and you're on the rear brake. The tire will lock, and usually it's fine. You'll notice it, but it won't freak you out. So let's see. We've got two more things I want to do with you guys to get you all nice and comfy on your new bike, and so I'll go and get that ready and meet up with you again. Okay, guys. So no cones for this test, or this. I keep forgetting. Exercise. No cones for this exercise. We are going to use the parking spaces, and I'll tell you why we're not using cones in a minute. And we're going to use this intersection up here. These are really basic tests. These are designed for... it's hot. For getting used to the clutch of the bike and the steering lock, which is undoubtedly different than your last bike. And so what we're going to start with is some sharpish right-hand turns. Now, since this is a new bike for you, you'll probably have ridden bikes before, so you're like, why should I do this? That's because, well, this isn't a really good example. Yeah, I'll go over to the parking lot and do it. This will help you get used to the weight of the bike and how it acts at low speeds. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and do a right-hand turn from stop. What is it? Is it in one parking space or two parking spaces? I think it's in one parking space. Okay, so right-hand turn and one parking space width. Again, these are narrower parking spaces, so it won't look this intimidating when you do it. So right indicator on, and you just kind of ease out, and you're done. Okay? So that looked relatively easy, probably, but it's not. Especially if you get nervous and you look at where you don't want to go. So if you're looking like at the other parking space, you'll go there. So the key to this is to look where you want to go, and you'll go there. Okay, so we're going to do a left-hand turn now. Left blinker on. Look at that. Easy as pie. Alright? So I want you to practice that, and you'll get used to low-speed maneuverability of your bike. Clutch usage, like where the friction zone is, you can probably hear it. So you need to learn that. And you'll learn some about the steering lock from that. And if I can get my boot buckled again, we will move straight into the next test, which is U-turn test. I'm getting hot, so I'm going to do a lap while I explain this to you. So the idea with the U-turn test is it's another steering lock clutch control test, okay? So some things to look out for are, let's see, you don't want to, depending on what bike you're riding, you don't want to, alright, here, we'll stop and talk about it, because there are a few things, and this goes for the right-hand turn test too. Maybe I'll edit it in front of that. So, some common mistakes people make with, let's start with the right-hand turn test, okay? Is they don't put in enough power, okay? So, you're going to do the right-hand turn. Oh, and it didn't stall. Let's try that one more time. Maybe I can get it to stall. Okay, so you're going to do the right-hand turn. Why won't you stall? Right-hand turn. Oh, yeah, see? Okay. So the bike dies, and chances are what's going to happen is you're going to drop the bike like that, and you don't want to do that. So there's something to be aware of, okay? That will happen with the right-hand turns, left-hand turns, and this next one that I'm going to show you. So be wary of that. That's caught me out a couple times, but I've been able to pick it up because this is a nice light bike, but the one you're riding might not be. So watch out for that. And there's something else I was going to tell you, but I don't remember. So, okay, watch out for stalling the bike like that, alright? Because if you're not paying attention, you could easily drop it on the ground, burn your leg on something, and you don't want to do that. Which is why you're doing all of this with all of your riding gear on, I hope. So, there's that. But, alright, next test. And, oh, the reason we're not using cones for these, you can use cones if you want, but what I don't want to happen, I don't want your front wheel to hit one of these cones and to low side the bike with the front tire. So that's why I'm not using cones. And you don't have to use cones as long as the parking spaces are mapped out well. Alright, so this next one is the U-turn test, and that's one that I've struggled with many times, okay? Now, you can do this either from standstill, which is where you'll have the problem of stalling, or you can do it, you know, at a running start, I suppose you could say. So you want to line up on the line of one parking space, and you want to be facing the other direction by the time you get to the next not in two parking space width. And again, this is my first run at it, so we'll see how it goes. Beautiful. All right. So things to note with this test. You want to do it left and right. All right. And because I did the right one the first time, I'm sure, or the left one the first time, I'm sure the right one's going to be ugly. So let's try it. Ooh, ooh, ooh! There you go. Okay. There's a brilliant example of what might happen, and I'm gonna run the bike around a little bit. Okay. So what just happened there? I'll let you tell me, alright? Exactly. I didn't have enough power as I was letting out the clutch, and the bike almost died. So what I did was I let go of the throttle and grabbed the clutch, and then it didn't have any propulsion, and so it tried to drop on me. And so that's something you need to watch out for, which leads me to the point I was about to make, which is that this is really a clutch modulation exercise as opposed to a throttle modulation exercise. What you want, I mean, you need to do a bit of both, but what you want to do is sort of, and you can use your foot brake too if you want to, is you want to balance the bike with the clutch, the throttle, and the foot brake all at the same time to get this done in the parking space width. So let's give it a shot again. Got it. Even in the little parking spaces, alright? So it is possible. That's it for getting used to a new bike. Now I'm going to talk about his specific questions real quick. But I have to check those, because I don't remember what they were off the top of my head. So I will see you in a minute.